When the conversation turns to pie, is your first thought 3.14 or make mine apple with a scoop of vanilla? Me too. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, and we inspire. And you know, Eli and everybody else, if you stop and think about life, life has a series of numbers that dictate our actions in many, many cases. And some people do things, use the proper equations, and other people use the improper, or the way I like to refer to it, since life is putting puzzle pieces together, you've got proper fractions and you got improper fractions, right? Let's focus on the proper fractions. You know, some of the things that you know already. I mean, as an example, have you ever seen somebody across the room and you're thinking to yourself, boy, that person's pretty sharp. And then you go over and you talk to them, they open their mouth and you say, no, they're not. You know why that is? That's because the speed of light is much faster than the speed of sound. And once you get over and you hear their voice, you say, oh my goodness. That's why it took you a little while to figure out that this person wasn't the brightest bulb on the circuit. You know, there are so many different numbers that we get in our lives that are just, you know, that we remember. As an example, one of the ones, Avogadro's number, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. The number of moles, the number of units in one mole. You know, different numbers that we get clog up our lives. And I want to focus on something you should be thinking about more often. Let's start with the 80-20 rule. Recognizing that 80% of results comes from 20% of your actions. So if you're not looking at your actions, if you're not defining where you get the most results from, which actions are the best producers, don't wonder why you're not getting as far in life as you'd like to go. Another part of the 80-20 rule is once you have something 80% figured out, get started with it. Get to the starting line. Start a project with action. Don't wait for perfection. So once you get to 80% of that, then get going. If you're missing that 20%, that's okay. You get to the starting line, you'll get a new starting line. What about the time that you spend in your life? Are you checking social media? All right. What percentage of your time are you using on social media? What about your sleep? What about the time you spend during the day to make yourself strong, to make yourself aware? Are you giving yourself enough sleep? What about the time that you're spending reading? Are you spending a lot of time reading, or are you spending more time on video games or watching TV? How about deep work versus busy work? What's deep work? Deep work is when you give your entire focus to a particular project for a set of time that you block out. And when you do that, you want to stretch yourself to reach your maximum, to get your maximum results. Remember, a rubber band only has value when it's stretched, and people can only maximize their value when they're stretched. So keep that in mind. All right, let's talk about the 95% and 5%. All right, we know that 95% of people are unsuccessful, 5% are successful. As we've mentioned many times on this pulpit, that the chances are 19-1 that someone you're going to meet is an unsuccessful person, and that the 95%ers think the same way and do the same thing and get the same results. The 5%ers think the same way and do the same thing. They get the same results, only their results are much different. Okay, the 5%er, the 1 out of 20, gives themselves time every day. Some people call it meditation. I call it quiet thinking time. Call it whatever you want, but you give yourself some time to think every day. It's only 5 or 10 minutes, but are you doing that? Are you taking time to think? A minute of thought is greater than an hour of talk. Find a place to think your thoughts. Find a way to shape your thoughts. Thoughts don't come to us fully formed. Find a team to stretch your thoughts. Find a time to fly your thoughts. Expose them to other people. Find a place to land your thoughts. Land them, and they become accepted. All right? These are things, once again, that the 1 out of 20, the 5%ers do that the 95%ers don't do. These are the numbers that you need to be cognizant of. How about the people that you hang around with? You know, you are a conglomerate. You know, it's been said of the 5 people that you hang around with the most. Are you budgeting your time? Carefully select your posse. Say no to people that aren't moving you forward. You have to do that. Are you setting and writing down your goals? The 5%ers, the 1 out of 20, they set goals because and they know that having new goals without new habits is like buying a new car without wheels, because you are your habits and then your habits become you. These are the numbers that you want to keep in mind, the things that the 5%ers do. Also want to keep in mind, as we're talking about numbers, is the magic of compounding. You know, there's an old saying that says Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, take the 4 letters in the word Rome, R-O-M-E, and just kind of switch them around and think of it this way. More isn't built in a day. If you want to be an achiever, if you want to get more, it's compounding, and you get there, you get there, you get there until you reach a point when you get to the edge of the cliff, you're right there, and when you can just jump off the cliff, you have become that person you want to become. But it's a compounding process, adding a little bit day after day after day. So recognize that virtue of compounding when you're doing your habits, that it's going to move you forward. Are you giving 100% effort to your projects? Why is that so important? Everyone says, well, I'm going to give 110% of my effort. Let's talk about giving 100% of your effort. Why is it so important? Because when you are seeking to get to a particular objective, you try different things. And you try this, and if this works, you keep going. If it doesn't work, then you have to look at things from a different angle, a different paradigm, get to a new starting line. We all are searching for certainty. If you don't give 100% effort, excuse me, in your endeavor, then there's always the question in your mind, was it my strategy that wasn't so good, or was it the fact that I didn't give 100% effort? Does that make sense? So these are some of the numbers that I want you to keep in mind for the new year, and we're going to go over the next time we get together about one of the most important numbers that you need to understand and embrace is the 95% of where your brain is being used. And we're going to get there real soon. And because we never end a meeting on a philosophical note, let's get out there and take charge. I'm Eli's dad.